Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett, and today I'm going to get into a review video on the Toast Realwood Walnut case for the Pixel 2. Now, before I jump on in, I want to mention I did get this case for free to review. However, I'm keeping the price in mind as I review it. Now, in this video, I'm going to get into an unboxing and the review, and also in another video, I'm going to get into how to actually install this case. So feel free to check that one out, and you can see how difficult it is or how easy it is to install it. Obviously, I haven't done it yet. So with that one in mind, I did get the Toast team to actually engrave my logo into this case. And one thing I have to say is the experience of doing that was interesting. Basically, you send in your logo or whatever you want them to engrave. They'll send you back a rendering, and I'll show you right now what both of them look like. And from there, once you agree to it, obviously you can make changes and whatever, but once you agree to it, they will render it onto the case and engrave it. And it actually is kind of neat for how well it does. Now, opening up the actual case itself, it has a simple package, and within it, let's take away that, and I will actually show you some pictures of the back of that a little bit. But as far as this goes, right here is the actual buttons, and then we got I think this is the alcohol cloth to help clean the Pixel 2, and then we obviously have the front and the back. So now I got a better image of this, so feel free to check out that. But with that, one thing I want to note is in the areas where there will be a landmass in the actual logo, there's ones and zeros, and they did a fairly good job at even adding that. So with this tells me that this machine that they're used to do the etching, it's extremely accurate and whatnot. But the one thing to keep in mind is this is wood, so this means that you have a tolerance around whatever the wood gives you. On top of that, the ones and zeros, it's very, very, very small, and unless if I'm basically have it very close to my face, honestly, it's very difficult to tell. You can kind of tell something is there, but it's impressive how accurate and how small it's able to engrave the stuff. So it's very important to note that you can actually write little tiny messages all out through there. So maybe if you want to get a case for Valentine's or for someone else for some other reason, or maybe a company case, you can actually have little messages all the way through, and that way the person can look at it whenever they want and they can see all the messages. Now, with that one in mind, the engraving, it doesn't seem to go too deep, and I'm not really that worried about it being rubbed off because of it being wood. But again, with the biggest thing to keep in mind is this is wood. This is real wood. Physics basically says the energy will be absorbed somewhat into the wood, but when you're dropping it, say, past a foot or two, you're really going to need to have an actual case. So having an actual case around this will be best. And I'm going to get into how easy it is just to put on this case, the cheap plastic case around this, so you know if it will fit around it fairly easily or not. Now, as far as that goes, one thing to also keep in mind is on the Pixel 2 that I got, it has a screen cover all the way through, and I'm going to be putting this wood on top of that, so I'll explain to you how easy that is. And one of the reasons why I would advise most people to do that is mostly because if you're going to be trading in your phone, for example, where I'm looking at when the next generation comes out, possibly trading in my stuff, obviously all these things you might have to take off because it might hurt the trade-in value. But for the time being, it's worthwhile having it on just for your own sake. So with that one in mind, I'm going to stop the video here and install it, and then I'll be right back once I am done. So as far as after I installed it, is there anything that came up from this? And would I still recommend it? I would still absolutely recommend it if it's within your budget. The thing feels great. There's a few things to note. The thing feels great. The thing looks great. Obviously, the engrave is great, and it's not that hard to install. Now, there is a few things to note. One of the first I want to mention is because you're obviously putting wood on a surface like glass, there is going to be a little bit of a bump, but it's not enough to really cause a problem. The one area that this may cause some problem is if you have a case like this. When I put it into it, I've noticed that the bump was noticeable, but nothing too dramatic, nothing that you couldn't work around. It was just noticeable before and after type of thing. But again, nothing that you couldn't work around. But if you got like a faceplate for a case itself, a normal case like either clear or not, you really shouldn't notice the problem because it's not that much of a difference. Now, as far as the corners itself, I want to mention that installing it was slightly difficult. What basically ended up happening is the corners wanted to go back to its default shipping state, so flat. And a way to fix that, so it would actually bend to what position you need it to go to, is there's a few ways. I did it by putting a case on the device and leaving there for a little bit. The other method is, and I'm going to email this one to Toast, is put a rubber band around it. See, what happens is it's basic physics. The pieces of wood, you got very small pieces of wood for the corners, which is necessary, and there has to be a little bit of movement there, which is necessary to make the corners, make the edges and whatever. Well, the thing is because they're so small, they don't have enough adjacent area to help hold it into whatever position that you need it to go into, and there's simply just not enough surface tension to basically keep it at whatever position that it needs to go to. So you would either have to sit there for a long time holding that into whatever position, or you can just put a rubber band or a case onto it and just call it a day, and within a couple hours or whatever, you're good to go. What I personally would recommend, and this is not a guarantee, do whatever risk on top of your head, but the thing is I would guarantee, I would say that an hour and a half may be good enough. This was between 15 minutes and 30 minutes. I can see if I left this in the case for another 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, it'll be fine. It would be absolutely fine. In fact, it's good enough now. It's just probably need to be in there for a little bit longer. But as far as that goes, that's something to note, that with the corners and whatnot. The front part of it was perfectly fine. To just note that was more of the back area that was causing that. Now, as far as that goes, the engraved part, as I showed, it looks pretty good, and they did a pretty good job. And as far as the case goes, it's not that bad. Now, as far as that goes, would I recommend it? Absolutely. And I'll have links down below to the store, and feel free to check that one out. Hopefully that this helped you out in deciding to buy this or not. But I'll see you next video. Hope you have a great day.